Welcome to What I Meant to Say, where we discuss parenting, relationships, and wisdom that can be passed down through generations. This recording I had with Tom Paladino today is absolutely groundbreaking. If you want to be in on the newest cutting edge healing method of scalar energy, I had never heard of this before. And I am so glad he reached out and found us because he is going to disrupt everything you know about healing. And his technology is incredible. Scalar energy is the energy that comes from the sun and the stars, and it's going to turn everything on its head. And what we're up against in this country between big pharma and big ag and all of the things that we're running up against that are completely smashing the little guy and making it so difficult for us to heal, you have to listen to this interview. It is so good. Welcome to What I Meant to Say. I'm here with Tom Paladino today, a scalar energy expert and humanitarian with so much to say about quantum health, and we'll explain more about what that is. But wow, it has incredible healing powers that can really unlock so many things for people and release suffering that so many of us feel. So Tom, thanks so much for joining me today.
It is a pleasure. Thanks so much, Wendy.
Yes. So tell me a little bit most people have never heard of scalar energy. So why don't we start there and let people know what it is?
It is the primal force. Scalar energy, scalar light is the light of the sun, the light of the stars. And why is that important? Well, when you're looking at creation, if you go back to the source, which is star energy, sun energy, then you're, if you will, in the driver's seat of nature. So I like to work with energy because it's a first cause. And working with energy at that level, then we can have some type of dominion over nature. So I work with scalar energy instruments. The energy is fundamental once again. If an energy is fundamental, then that energy, if you will, is your pathway to nature.
So how, practically speaking, can that help people heal from so many of the ailments that they're feeling out there today?
Okay, that's a great question. So I work with scalar energy instruments. I'm in my laboratory and I'll demonstrate those instruments. And what's really peculiar to these instruments is all of my work is non-physical. When I work with scalar energy, it's information, it's intelligence. I don't work at the chemical level. I work, if you will, at the template or the informational level. And in so doing, when I work with people, I don't work with their biological body. I work with the energy field that gives them life, soul, mind, and spirit. Now, so to put, if you will, a handle on this, I have developed scalar energy instruments that broadcast, that, if you will, have an interface of intelligence. And in so doing, I work at the level of light, energy, information. I bypass the physical body. I bypass the chemical body. Now, to give the audience for instance, if you're an architect and you're going to build something, you build it first on paper. You have architectural plans. So the informational level is first, and then the physical manifestation is the final product. Well, that's what I do with people. I never work with people. I work with their energy fields.
Wow. And I have come to believe so wholeheartedly in the energy fields in the energy world, but it's not something that I was exposed to in my younger life. And yet I've kind of grown from the place of, I feel something, and you feel like it's your intuition or this, you walk in a room and you can feel people. And, if I'm an empath, there are lots of us walking around out there, right? But why is it that we have been so conditioned to live in that chemical, Newtonian physical world rather than the place that you're working from?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Why do we work at the level of the effect, and why do we ignore the cause? It makes no sense whatsoever. So the chemical world, the way I establish this by way of a comparison, the chemical world, the effect is like pushing a car. As opposed to the informational level, the causal level, you're driving the car. Now, isn't it obvious? Don't we want to drive the car at the level of cause and not push the car at the level of effect? Well, this is what I've been trying to do for my lifetime, but it's ingrained in people. They have to see something. They have to believe in that physical layer. They can't, some people just can't grasp that there's something beyond and above that physical domain.
Yeah. And the truth is, once you grasp what's beyond, you do make changes in that physical domain, but they're root cause changes. You can make changes to that root cause, like you said, rather than the effect. Right. And what are some of the things that you've worked with? I took a look at your website and I was amazed because all of us could benefit from the conditions that you've worked with.
Okay. Recently, we've unveiled a new program. We call it Divine Intelligence because that's what this energy is. It's from God and it's intelligence. Now, I have discovered that, and my predecessor, a man by the name of Hieronymus, we've discovered that scalar energy is a double helix. I'm going to share with the audience. That's a photograph, time-lapse photograph of a scalar wave. It's a double helix. Well, what comes to mind is DNA. Now, yes. Galen Hieronymus, my predecessor, now this is back in the 50s and 60s. He did not have the tools that we have today. Galen Hieronymus proposed that scalar energy moved like a corkscrew, which is quite profound back in the 50s and 60s. And lo and behold, we photograph a scalar wave, and what is it? It acts like a corkscrew. It's a double helix. So with this energy, this intelligence, I can download it into our template, into our DNA. And recently, I've had great success with people, and the disease signature, we only work with signatures, the disease signature is being eradicated, negated. In other words, working at the informational level, we can pinpoint a disease signature, which is a force field, and negate the disease force field.
Wow. I mean, what that does to flip Western medicine on its head.
Yes.
And the connections that came to mind as I was researching what you do that relate to Eastern medicine and acupuncture and some of that. I'm a yoga teacher, and when you talk about the chakra system, it really relates back to the things that in the Western world we've been taught to kind of look at and go, is that really real? And but the fundamental ability to heal from this place,
right.
Like why don't we know about this stuff?
Yes, it's suppressed. That's why. For your audience, for the sake of your audience, this is suppressed. Now, I'm very open about my research, and I frequently show my laboratory as I'm doing now. Behind me is a scalar light instrument, and my website has 3,000 or 4,000 testimonies. So, I'm rather, if you will, open to anybody's discernment. And to answer the question, why isn't this better well known? Because there's an active suppression on this type of technology. This technology will change the world. I am working with the free energy from the stars. If we tap into the free energy of the stars, that will compromise the $10 trillion energy industry. Every year we spend $10 trillion on energy exploration, energy distribution, etc. Free energy will upset that economic model.
Wow. And these are the tenets that make life good for everybody. I see like the elimination of this huge gap that we're creating in the society of the haves and the have-nots because people cannot access better health care, care for their mental health. There are so many things beyond just, I live in California, so like we could go down that road as far as like, we're going to be facing rolling brownouts here, and we do in the summer because the energy industry is so frankly messed up out here. And wow, there are just so many paths to take that down, but to stay on the health and wellness situation out there, like how can mental health is such a challenge. And I know you've worked in the mental health space with the scalar energy. How can that help?
Okay, so scalar energy, once again, is the energy of the sun and the stars. I'm going to answer your question, but first let me demonstrate. The mind is the scalar energy mind. In other words, our brain waves, our thoughts, are scalar waves. Something has to give us intelligence to think, to feel. What is that intelligence? A scalar wave allows us to think, allows us to feel. which is mental health. Now, if a scalar energy can illuminate the mind with a thought, then my scalar energy instrument can illuminate a light bulb.
Wow.
So I'm holding in my hand a light bulb demonstrating free energy. And obviously the light bulb is not plugged into anything. Now, if I can illuminate a light bulb, follow me, and I can illuminate the mind with intelligence. So we're keeping it at the level of light intelligence. Once again, light is fundamental. We're in the driver's seat with light. We don't work at the chemical level.
So the light influences the chemical level.
Yes, I believe so. Now, I can't prove that because my work is groundbreaking and nobody's followed up on my work. Nobody can prove or disprove my work. I'm going to show another graphic, and those are 7 points of light, the chakras.
The chakras, yes.
Or meridians. Well, let's just say there's 7 main chakras. And what do? They spin. It's like a corkscrew. Okay, once again, the chakras are scalar energy vortices. So what's the best way to illuminate our chakras? With scalar energy. A scalar energy instrument is going to illuminate our chakras.
Wow.
All by way of light, all through this domain, through this dimension of scalar energy. We never work in the electromagnetic dimension. To be very clear to your audience, there's 2 energy fields. I never work with electricity or magnetism. This is not electromagnetic energy. It's a different type of energy. What Tesla called radiant energy, what we call today commonly the idiomatic expression is scalar energy or scalar light.
Well, I know, and obviously your work is drawn from Nikola Tesla, and I heard in one of your other interviews that even as a boy you were drawn to his work. Yeah. For people who that don't know about his work, can you tell us a little bit about what drew you to that?
Yeah,
what it means?
Nikola Tesla gave us the modern day age. Over 100 years ago, he was experimenting with AC electricity, and that's why we have AC electricity in our home. There's no other scientist more prominent than Tesla in providing us the modern day age. Tesla introduced us to these modern day inventions and, if you will, the luxury that we live in today. So we have to tip our hat to Tesla. Now, later in his life, Tesla started to work with scalar energy, which is not electricity. And I would read about Tesla and what he was doing later in his life, and just the light went off of my brain, so to speak, pun intended. And I knew that he was working with scalar energy. Later in his life, Tesla would frequently mention that he was going to harness the sun. He did not say that he's going to harness Niagara Falls. He said that at one time in his life, but he stepped up from the chemical level. No longer was he interested in harnessing Niagara Falls. He did so with turbines. Later in his life, he harnessed the sun. Well, I'd rather harness the sun than Niagara Falls. Now, why? The sun and the stars have infinite energy. This solves any economic model. There's no scarcity. If you're an economist, one of the first considerations is scarcity and choice. Well, with scalar energy, it's super abundant. You'll never run out of it. Sunlight and starlight floods the universe. There is no scarcity. So in the future, we'll have a world, as long as we tap into the star powers, the sun power, we will not experience any shortfall. We'll have superabundant energy. Superabundant energy then would level the playing field. Superabundant energy would improve the lifestyle of everybody in the world. Frankly, superabundant energy would dismantle the monopolies.
Yeah, I hope people can see the power in the statement that you're making there, because that is a fundamental shift, and what is leading us, in my opinion, to our own demise in this country, of just taking the power away from people who know how to show up and do good work every day, but frankly are being priced out of the market on virtually everything over the last 5 years or so. And right. When you start to look at the economic model and you see who's getting richer and who's struggling more, it's the families and the hardworking people and that are really being aced out of a good, honest life. And they don't realize that there's a huge force that once you start to realize what's working, it can feel incredibly disempowering because you realize what you're up against. But this fundamental shift that you are talking about is, I mean, I can see, unfortunately, they are trying to silence you. And
of course.
And I'm wondering, I mean, you've been working on this for the majority of your life. What's it like to work, and how do you keep your mindset right when you know there's so much working against you?
Yeah, I have God on my side, and that's all I need. And by the way, this is a grassroots movement, and I'd also depend upon people, very good people like you. And to be clear to your audience, I don't trust so many corrupt governments. There's so many corrupt businesses that I do not trust. There are so many corrupt financiers that I do not trust. And there's corruption in academia. There's corruption in the scientific world. So if I keep this technology here in my laboratory and I don't let anybody come into my laboratory, I'm going to be successful.
Yeah. So, and I love grassroots. Like, grassroots is what always gives me hope, from, politics to medicine to all of those areas you were talking about. And I believe that the healing stories of people, that's why I started this podcast, can change the world. And so particularly, how are people coming to you and being changed?
Yeah. We've recently this year, we've intensified the energy. Now, many people are reporting to me that their disease signature, say for rheumatoid arthritis or autoimmune disease, has decreased, or they no longer have the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis or autoimmune disease. Now, what do I mean? Everything has intelligence. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, it's some type of autoimmune disease. And why? Because there's intelligence behind that. Now, to be clear, when I'm working with these instruments, I don't work with people. I work with a copy of a person. I'm going to explain. When I work with these instruments, I work with photographs. This is my photograph. I keep it in the quantum level, which is the energetic level. I work with a photograph that has an energy field. I never work with people in the flesh. So this is the new science where we're beyond physical matter. Remember, I don't work at the level of the effect. I work at the level of cause. So when I work with people, they will email me a photograph and I place it inside the instrument. That photograph is my copy, is my identical twin, so to speak. It is me. I bilocate by way of that photograph. And I can feel that energy in my chakras, because if I can light up a light bulb, then I can light up my photograph. And the photograph is my bilocated version. Okay, so by way of analogy, we're having a conversation through our computers. You are not in my computer. I'm not in your computer. It's your image. Well, if we can do that with a video call, then we can do that with a photograph. So imagine if I can speak to you in a computer and I could see you in real time, then I can speak to somebody in their photograph, because their photograph is their energetic copy. It's not their biological person. It's their energetic duplication. It's their bilocated version. This is Tesla science. This is bilocation. This is what we call quantum entanglement, in which my energy field as a person somehow finds its way to a photograph.
I love it. I've read so many stories about, studies they've done over the years about how our cells can, our cells can be, I think it's a story of the pilots from World War II, where they took their cells and they put them in a laboratory, and then they showed somebody that they showed the pilots how when a video of what they had been through, and their cells in another laboratory miles away responded.
Yes.
And so the way that stress manifests, the way that in that field, I was mesmerized when I was reading these things. Yeah.
And that let's extend that. So if my photograph carries my signature, and it does, and even though, let's say, a person sends me their photograph and they're 1,000 miles away, it doesn't matter. It's their energy signal. Now, by way of analysis and by way of comparison, if we have cells in a petri dish that respond to stimuli, and the person is miles away or at a distance, that still shows that the petri dish of cells have a force field to it, have intelligence attached to it. So if the petri dish of cells can have an intelligence, then my photograph or anybody's photograph has intelligence imprinted upon it.
So people that mail or email their photos to you, you can work on and help affect their health.
Yes, by negating their disease signatures. If I had an autoimmune disease, the energy would find that autoimmune disease signature and negate it on the photograph. I've never worked with a human being. The instruments are not designed to work with people. They're only designed to work with force fields. And again, I don't want to work at the chemical level. I don't want to work with people. I want to work at the energetic level, the level of cause.
It's incredible. And some of I know if people go to your website, there's a long list of different ailments, basically, that people feel and have that you've worked with and had really positive effects.
Yeah. I'm going to elaborate. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I can instruct this instrument. Here's another way I can instruct it. Now, again, it's always information. There's information on that photograph. It's Epstein-Barr. If I place my photograph in the instrument with that photograph of Epstein-Barr, there's a sharing of information. Epstein-Barr has a disease signature. If I find that disease signature in my quantum field, the instrument, the energy, will negate the disease signature of Epstein-Barr. This is the easy way to negate the disease signature of Epstein-Barr, or, if you will, negate its molecular bonds. Always on my duplicate, my bilocated version.
Wow. And that's a difficult one in the chemical realm. Epstein-Barr is one of the hardest things to get rid of.
I want to share this with your audience. Some people send me testimonies. Here's one testimony for Epstein-Barr.
Okay. Oh, virus not detected. Look at that.
Now, people are free to send us testimonies, and this is the beginning body of evidence, testimonies. The only way I can prove my work right now is through testimonies. Why? Because this is a new branch of science. There is no, if you will, regulated, there is no established testing method. I developed this process. So there's nobody who's been able to prove or disprove my work. So the only way I can prove what I'm doing is through testimonies.
Amazing. And when you think about the list of side effects and things that people, when we go to the doctor and we're given medicine and trying to, give ourselves some relief from those symptoms, and then you can do this, there are no side effects.
Yeah, there are no side effects. Why? And I'm not being condescending.
No.
My photograph cannot have a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
My photograph cannot experience any type of adverse physical reaction because we don't work with the physical body. This is a new branch of science where we work with information, intelligence.
Wow. I don't think, when you go back, and I've done quite a bit of work now in the energy healing world, and I had not, until I came across your work, I had not seen scalar energy. I started sending it out to my friends. Have you heard of this? And honestly, quite a few of them who are pretty experienced in energy healing and energy work hadn't heard of it. But then when they looked at it, they said, oh, wow. Yeah, no, this is for real. But I think people just have it's hard to to get to that place where you truly believe. And we know that in energy work, the intention is important, and the belief of both the practitioner and the person who is receiving the energy healing. Do you have a concept or a belief about, is it important for the person who is having the work done to believe in what you're doing?
It helps because that, I think, will accelerate the healing. That will augment the process. But keep in mind, I work with dogs and cats and turtles. I've worked with elephants in the past. And we've had a favorable outcome with dogs, cats, elephants, even kangaroos. So those animals, God bless them, they've never read my website. So I think it still works regardless of whether you believe or not.
Amazing. Do you believe that's in part because you're accessing the subconscious?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
can you help people understand? Because a lot of us don't realize how ruled we are by our our subconscious, right?
Okay. Okay. What is a brain wave? It's a scalar wave. What's an emotion? It's a scalar wave. You consider that brain waves, our thinking, our thoughts, our emotions are some type of intelligence. We're broadcasting something. What is it? It's non-physical information. What is scalar energy? Non-physical information. So we are scalar energy beings. The reason we can think and feel is because we receive scalar waves and we interact with those scalar waves and we broadcast scalar waves. The mind operates by function of scalar energy. The heart, our emotions operate by function of scalar energy. So, with that said, we create our environment. The way we think, the way we feel, that's what we create. And ultimately in life, you're going to inherit that. Now, yeah, there's external stimuli. I realize that. But if you just concentrate on yourself and you have good thoughts and good feelings, good emotions, you're going to see a favorable outcome. And if that's the case, and you just have to concentrate and focus on yourself, then focus on yourself. Don't live vicariously through the world.
Absolutely. I have always told my kids, whatever you focus on grows, right?
Yes. Yep.
And working from the inside out is truly the most fundamental way to, people are always searching for happiness, but like deep contentment comes from working from the inside out. And it lines up so beautifully with what you're doing that I just continue to think like, how do we get this out there? So what other ways, how are you getting to the population?
Brilliant people like you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And I mean every word of that. You're not going to see big media help me because big media is controlled by international banking. So it's going to take a grassroots movement. Again, my point is to help people. I've been at this my entire life. I certainly don't think my life is in vain. What's the point? To help people. Invention helps people. Now, if everything I've described thus far is true, well, you would expect that this would have been headline news a long time ago. Again, I've been at this for 50 years, at least in theory. Well, why isn't this headline news? Because those who control the media are also controlling our banking system. That's why.
Yep. And that's why I turned off my TV a long time ago and headed towards the podcast circuit to start gathering information for what intuitively I was feeling out there, and then started my own, because it really is the way around big media. It's the way around the stories that are told when we turn on our TV. And, there's a part of me, I turn 50 in December, and I think about when I was a kid walking through and, the comfort of like having the TV on, and Tom Brokaw was on the news and there was dinner on the table, and there's like a nostalgia for that. But the way my house is now, I don't ever turn my TV on. I'm looking for produce and food that comes from another place. I mean, we are up against it. And yet this grassroots movement of people that I come across from doing this podcast is, I see people healing from the ground up.
Yep.
And I know beyond health, I mean, changing, the mental health and the physical health of people with the scalar energy. You've worked on animals and with the soil and crops. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. I have a group of friends in Hawaii. There was a fungal blight on a tree called the ohia tree. Ceratocystis. Anyway, the long story short is we can identify the fungus, the signature of a fungus on a tree, even though that tree might be thousands of miles away. It doesn't matter. The tree will be placed inside my instrument. And I work on the quantum energy, not the physical tree. And after working with trees and my friends in their backyard and their front yard, they tell me they no longer have any fungal blight.
That is incredible.
Yeah. I've also worked with goats in Tanzania. By the way, I've never been to Tanzania. And after working with these photographs of goats, the people in Tanzania say their goats are very healthy. Well, can that be explained by Newtonian physics? No. This is a new science.
Wow. I mean, to be on the cutting edge of something, and do you work alone?
I work alone. And it's that's a sad statement because this subject has such broad application. And I'll tell you why I work alone. Because every Friday afternoon there's no paycheck. There's no money in this. You can't make a career out of this. Who's going to study this for 10, 20, 30 years without a paycheck? I do it because God has asked me to do it, but I can guarantee you that there's been some lean years here. There is no paycheck with this.
Because there's not a market beyond for people to profit from sickness or, I mean, taking advantage of other people. And so how do you do it?
Well, for the past 30 years, I had to work. I studied this at night when I wasn't working, and I kept at it. And it's something that I wish I would have had more time to develop these theories, but I had to work for a living, and only recently has this now taken off. It's growing, but consider Tesla introduced this 125 years ago. What have we been doing? Very little progress has been made.
Yeah. And yet if we made that progress, and when you think about how fundamentally different our country and the world would be, we're basically holding people prisoner because a small percentage of people are profiting from us being sick.
Yeah. There was a time that Tesla was working with J.P. Morgan and the Rothschilds, and he was receiving funding because they were interested in this technology. But once the cabal realized that this was free energy, that was it. No more money, and an active smear campaign was orchestrated against Tesla. So why such a sea change of attitude? Why this sea change of position on part of J.P. Morgan and the Rothschilds? They were threatened. That's why free energy threatens the cabal.
Yep. And when you know enough about healing, and you know the difference between a scarcity and abundance mindset and what people encounter when they become fearful of something and how that holds humanity back,
yes,
it is astounding the difference that we can make when we can overcome that fear. And I'm so impressed, and to have the wherewithal to work a 40-hour week and then come and do this at night for the betterment of humanity, my hat is off to you. Because we need more people that are pure of heart like that to help people heal. And I'm amazed. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So where are we going with this? To encourage people. Today in my lab, I worked with 500,000 photographs because the photographs can be miniaturized, and I'm working with groups throughout the world. I'm working with charities, NGOs. Anyway, long story short, after the past 15 years, I've amassed quite a number of photographs. Any given day, I'll have 2,000 or 3,000 photographs come to me. And today, we're working with 500,000 photographs. In the future, I predict we'll work with 1 billion photographs a year. And we'll access a person's quantum field, their energy field, through those 1 billion photographs. So consider where we're going with this. And this is not pie in the sky. This is tenable.
Yeah, you can see it on the testimonials on your website, or people go check it out. They're legit, and people are singing your praises for the relief that they're feeling, and it's amazing. So how do people find you to do this?
Okay, our website is scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. On the website, anybody's entitled to 15 days of free sessions. So when you visit the website, you can email us your photograph. Include your pets, family members, okay? If they're adults, get their permission, and we'll work with you. For 15 days, we will balance your chakras. For 15 days on a daily basis, we'll identify disease signatures and eradicate disease signatures. And there's another process really quickly. We have the ability to take vitamins, that's a photograph of a vitamin, and download the vitamin into your energy field.
Wow.
This is the versatile reach of scalar energy, taking a photograph of riboflavin, which has an energy field, a quantum field, downloading that energy into your quantum field, my quantum field. And the upshot is people feel better. Many people say their appetite is suppressed because they're receiving their food energetically, their vitamins energetically in their energy field, not by ingesting anything physically, by receiving their vitamins through energy. This is the new science.
Wow. And when people send you their photo, what's the average amount of time that, like, do you just keep working on them indefinitely, or how long does it take to feel something?
If people sign up for the 15-day session, every day you'll have your chakras balanced. We'll have, if you will, microbe eradication and a vitamin antioxidant nutrient program. Now, after 15 days, we allow people to judge how they feel. If people think it's of merit, then they'll sign up for 2 or 3 months. It's up to them. I would say most people feel much better after 3 or 4 months of sessions, because it takes time to make an impression upon the information field. Even though the energy is instantaneous, nonetheless, the symptoms that people are looking to abate, sometimes that takes 2, 3, 4 months to see the symptoms abate. So as a new science, there's no rule of thumb. I simply tell people, sign up for the 15-day free trial, and then you make a decision. Everybody has to make that decision on their own, because as a new science, we have to rely upon your testimony.
Well, I don't know why people wouldn't want to be part of a cutting-edge technology that can help them heal without any side effects, and also at the same time overturn this terrible economy that has been growing rampant in this country that's hurting so many.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's what scalar energy will do. It's not just about quantum health. We could use this as free energy. We could also use scalar energy as a means of telecommunications, as a means of transportation. So everything that you see that we now have in place, that grid system, that technological format will be replaced by scalar energy. Scalar energy will replace the military-industrial complex.
Oh my goodness. Did everybody hear that? Yep. It's groundbreaking and amazing, and I'm so excited to have this conversation and push it out there as far as we can get it, because this is the way of the future, and everyone will be so much happier and healthier and grounded and content. And that's what I want for my family and my community and the world. So you're amazing. Thank you for this connection.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's one question I ask everybody that comes on my podcast, because my North Star really is generational learning and healing. And I believe we learn so much through our lifetimes. When we look back, we can, to share that with other people is a gift. So if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Trust in God, trust in yourself. As long as I can trust in God and trust in myself and say no to the external stimuli, a lot of that is nonsense, I've always succeeded. Trust God, trust yourself.
Absolutely. And I would, that resonates deeply with me. And I would even ask you one more question just to take that a step further. But what do you believe about the self and the way that God relates or resides in us?
Yeah. I believe the light of God is scalar light, and we are immersed in the light of God. So God always has his hand upon us. It's his light. How does God operate? Through light, scalar light, not through a computer, not through a TV set, not through social media. God works through fundamental construct. What is that fundamental construct? Light. And this is why light, scalar light, is so important. It's the hand of God.
That is, yep, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that the world needs to hear more of that loving light of God is so healing. And God is not an angry God. He is not out there to punish us or shame us, but that he truly is healing. So thank you so much for bringing that into the world. That really is inspiring.
And thank you so much for your audience. And please, all of us, unite as a grassroots movement. We can change the world.
Yes. And
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
concentrate
sorry.
on that.
Yeah, Tom's offering 15 days free to anybody who's listening to this podcast. Go to his website and start your healing process. I could not be more excited to send as many people your way because we need it.
Thank you. Let's change the world. God bless everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks for your contribution. This is a great conversation. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us on What I Meant to Say, another production of Inspired Edutainment brought to you by Be Better Media.